Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski. Welcome to my alpha catching guide within PokeMMO. Now, there is an alpha swarm over to the left over here. I believe it is a Ditto, which kind of makes things a little more interesting. It's actually probably the best alpha to catch. Is Ditto has the best like base price on an alpha Pokemon, since to breed like any sort of male alpha or like rare alphas, you end up needing like an alpha Ditto. So for example, for like Kanto, alpha starters or things like that, you need an alpha Ditto. And plus, obviously, alpha Dittos have really good IVs, and good IV Dittos are just valuable. It makes sense. So in my opinion, you really only need 3 Pokemon to be able to catch any alpha. That is my firm belief. You need some sort of skill swap, contrary Spinda. You don't even need these. I honestly don't bring this Spinda to most alpha catches now that I'm pretty familiar with them, but I think the Spinda is a very good one to like lean on if you're new to alphas, if you're frustrated, if you're having a tough time, if your Pokemon aren't like the best, or you don't have like level 100s or whatever. I think bringing the Spinda is really good for consistency, and it teaches you to sort of build a habit. So most alpha battles, you want to lead with a skill swap contrary Spinda. Now, so you want to look over to the GTL. It has to be contrary. What I would do is I would look up Spinda. You would look up you would scroll down to, you could do hidden ability access, but I would personally scroll down to has ability contrary, and then just search by the cheapest price. Spindas with contrary are not very cheap because people know about this strategy. They know how good it is, and how consistent it is. Once again, I don't think you need this, honestly, but it just adds for extra consistency. None of these other moves really matter. Swagger is nice because you can lower the opponent's attack by 2 stages after you still swap contrary and make them confused, but then you don't want to false whip them down to 1 HP if they're confused, because then they might hit themselves and kill themselves. So be careful. The really brain dead strategy is just worry about skill swap contrary, and this Spinda could even be level 1. I have it named overrated because I think it's kind of overrated, honestly, but it's good for beginners to build that consistency. So you can have a level 1 Spinda here, put Focus Sash on it and skill swap, and it'll get the job done. You don't need it to be level 100 like I kind of have this one. Now, Ditto is a weird one. Most alphas obviously have their hidden ability access. They have like a specific hidden ability. Ditto is a weird one because it has Imposter, but it actually doesn't transform into the Mon you lead into the fight with, if that makes sense. It's random. It becomes a random Pokemon. You'll see that in a quick sec, but let's first overview the rest of the Pokemon. This is the most important Pokemon. Any sort of decent Breloom. My Breloom's pretty bad, actually. Like 1 defense IV, hasty. I've just had it forever, so I just never got a better one, but it gets the job done. Like this Breloom, 252 attack, 252 speed. Nature's not even that good. Like decent 20 plus in some of the stats that it needs. 20 plus attack and speed is pretty important in my opinion. I would go for like a lonely, naughty, adamant, or like some better variant of plus attack natured one if I were you guys. And then this moveset is super important. Spore, False Swipe, Substitute. Most people don't run Substitute on their Breloom, and I can't tell you how good it is, because if your opposing Pokemon is going to do more damage to you than 25%, it's always good to like Spore them, put them to sleep, and then you can sub up. So even if they insta wake up, you're only going to take 25% HP, and you end up like this guy becomes unkillable unless you're facing down a very fast flying type Pokemon that does insane damage, like a Zapdos with Hurricane can like one-shot your Breloom, because it is 4 times weak to flying type attacks. That's the only time you might get killed, but even then I always keep revives just in case. You don't want to have to spam these, but in case like a shiny, for example. That's why you have your backup. Strength or Seed Bomb is super important as well. Poison Heal, Toxic Orb is a must on your catch. With this, you could catch, I would say, 90% of alphas on your first or second try with just this one Breloom. So if you're looking for a 1 Pokemon to build this Breloom. Toxic Orb, Poison Heal, Spore, False Swipe, Sub. Do not sleep on how good Sub is. Please go Sub. And then, 20 plus in every stat that it needs. So every stat that isn't special attack is what it needs. And then a like lonely, naughty, adamant nature. Adamant's probably the best. And then backup, you do have your Soak Smeargle. I think Soak Smeargle is incredible. It's a backup False Swiper. It's a backup Spore Pokemon in case it wakes up and it kills your Breloom. You can bring this in. You can Spore. Soak is so good. It's one of the best catching moves in PokeMMO. You can turn the opposing Pokemon into a water type, so you can use your Net Ball, which is probably the best way to catch Pokemon in PokeMMO right now, is Soak plus Net Ball, making it a 3.5 times catch rate just for clicking 1 move. It's so good. as well as turning ghost types into a water type so you can false swipe them, or turning grass types into a water type so that you can spore them. Soak is really good. With these 3 Pokemon, you should be able to catch every single alpha in the entire game. Let's go ahead and jump into this Ditto battle as an example. 5 minutes in, I know it's a lot of yapping, a lot of explanation, but hopefully I give you guys a good example here. So I would lead off here. It's going to turn into Sandshrew. That's totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and just skill swap this thing instantly. Now, what you do, also you need a bunch of Pokeballs, I will say. In terms of items that you actually need, I usually recommend, like I'm going to go ahead and go for a Swagger here to lower the attack. What I recommend, the reason why you still swap the contrary is because you can spam Pokeballs a few times now and lower the stats, but you don't want to do that if you don't have to, because the alpha can also like reverse stats, if that makes sense. I think you can Pokeball while a Pokemon's underground, right? No, you can't. Okay, that's kind of funny. I haven't done that in a long time. I'm just going to click Swagger here and let this thing die. If not, just click Hypnosis. Yeah, that's fine. Just let I want my Spinda to die essentially now to be able to safely bring in one of my catching Pokemon and to get off a Spore immediately. It's better to Spore first, in my opinion, before you start. You just keep yourself kind of safer. Now, I know that Sandshrew is probably not doing too much damage to me, but my Breloom's going to far outspeed. I can go ahead and just click Spore. Bring up the battle chat just in case I need to double check on anything. My Spinda goes down. I click Spore. I know for a fact that this Sandslash is going to have a really high defense stat. It's not going to be like taking too much damage from False Swipe. So I should be safe to go ahead and go for a Strength here. I don't need to sub against this Pokemon since it's pretty... I'd Sandslash isn't that strong, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'll eat those words and I'll want to set up subs after here in a quick sec. Honestly, since it's been asleep for 2 turns like that, there's an argument for just trying to go for a Dream Ball here, but I wouldn't do it personally. I'd rather just save. I think most players want to save the Pokeyen. Dream Balls are kind of expensive. A crit there is good. You do want to think about crits when actually trying to catch your Pokemon. He is still confused as well, so I actually don't want to. So I'm going to click Spore here. I saw that a crit did 29%, right? So I'm not going to Strength here. I'm going to click False Swipe for 2 reasons. A lot of alphas just comes down to game knowledge and skill as well. There's a lot of decisions you make when catching an alpha, and you have to make the right decisions, right? So I'm going to click False Swipe here because number 1, if he wakes up and hits himself, I don't want him to kill himself. And then number 2, I don't want to crit him on accident and kill him. But number 3, I don't want, but I still want to red bar him, if that makes sense. I still want his HP at red bar. So he's been asleep for 2 turns. The 3 or so best balls you need for catching alphas, timer balls are fantastic, right? Timer balls are so good, but you have to wait until the turn progresses, or the battle progresses 11 turns. So 11 turns have to pass before timer ball becomes good. You can kind of quick ball an alpha sometimes. It's like a pretty low catch rate, like 10 or 20%, I would guess. You can quick ball first turn for the fun of it to see if it hits. Mostly timer ball is like what I recommend a lot. It's really carries you if you're not that good. The battle goes a long way. Dream Balls are super good. Amazing. Dream Balls, if the Pokemon's been asleep for 2 turns, I believe, in a row, it has a catch rate of 4 times. It's super, super good. And then Net Balls, like we talked about, Net Balls are probably one of the best Pokeballs in the game. Now, I haven't turned this guy into a water type yet, so you need to be a water or bug type. I'm going to rock with the Dream Ball here. He's been asleep for multiple turns. Should be a pretty high catch rate. He's red bar. I've handled this battle pretty well. I didn't really need my soaked Pokemon here. I could switch him in and go for it. So there's the Filled with Might that I was talking about. Now, so if you throw a Pokeball and it fails to catch an alpha Pokemon, hopefully it shouldn't kill himself there in that confusion. Yeah, it just shouldn't at all. Perfect. Usually, if you fail to catch an alpha, it's an alpha specific mechanic that they punish you by upping all the stats by 1, right? But if you contrary it, it minuses all the stats by 1. But if you get if one of the stats reaches -6, then it resets all the stats, or it like buffs them up +6, and that, usually the fight's kind of ruined it. You have to like go re-encounter it, which you can do pretty easily. So he hasn't been asleep for 2 turns here. There's 2 things I could do. I could go for a timer ball. It's not gonna have like the best catch rate here. That's probably what I do. I could go for sub here just to like stall the turn. I don't mind wasting the Pokeyen on the timer ball, as well as, there we go, we just catch it, as well as I don't mind him getting another minus buff on his stats. I didn't have to use the Smeargle there, but I could have. You know, it depends on the Pokemon. just keep in mind if you do soak your opposing, like if you soak your opposing Pokemon, and let's say your Breloom has like Seed Bomb, you're going to do super effective damage now, so it's something to keep in mind. So there's a lot of things to factor in with that, but soak can be really good for like net balling Pokemon, ghost types, grass types, etc. Really simple, quick catching guide. Hopefully this explained everything. There's actually there are a lot of caveats and a lot of depth to honestly catching alphas. You can get good at it, funnily. Like, you don't think of it as a skill-based thing, but I think it's pretty skill-based. It's like a very mini PVM style of battle, in my opinion. I think it's very, very cool. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. If it was, let me know by liking the video. That helps me out tremendously. Dislike if it wasn't. Subscribe to the channel for daily Pokemon videos every single day. Discord's down below if you're interested in that and joining that really cool community. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the content, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal/Venmo donations really are what allow me to do this. So thank you all so much. I hope you're having a good day playing PokeMMO. Quick little check. If you want to try to check these Dittos for hidden ability access, you can actually just encounter them in a battle. And if they have Imposter, they'll just like immediately, copy your Pokemon. So it's a pretty easy way to just like check to see if they have hidden ability access. But I don't even think hidden ability access Dittos are going for very much on the GTL, so it's probably not worth doing it. I would do hidden ability Ditto. Yeah, 4,500. So it's honestly not even worth catching them. But that's it. I'm rambling. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Peace, Reno.